Hey everybody, Daniel Del Olmo, Sage Hospitality. But before we talk to him, thank you, Unifocus, unifocus.com, technology that drives value, unifocus.com. So we're here, NYU conference. One of the things that we're talking about, man, is like how consumers are resetting themselves, how they're staying in hotels, how businesses are thinking about business travel. So what are you gleaning from your experience at Sage and what you're learning here at the conference?
Yeah, a couple of things, Glenn. First and foremost, our vision is to become America's favorite lifestyle hospitality company. And so we enrich lives one experience at a time. So experiences for us in our portfolio of 110 hotels, restaurants, and entertainment venues is really critical. And what we're seeing is that the business traveler is changing. It's changing because they're traveling less than before, which we all know. But when they're traveling, they're extending their stays. And they're appending, the leisure aspect, so essentially becoming leisure. That is driving more of an experiential travel need. And I think it's really important that you got to cater to that, and that's what we do every day.
So that's interesting. So I think when we're talking about the way business travel used to be, you go, you stay in a hotel, you go to your meetings all of that kind of stuff, right? So there might still be some of that, but then it's like, hey, we're going to stay for a few days. And on our Proper No Vacancy show, we talk about this particular issue all the time, the way that people are thinking about travel differently. So that means they're going to need more food and beverage. They're going to need more excuses in order to be able to extend that stay. And that's kind of what you're thinking about.
That's right. I mean, frankly, today, if you go to a hotel, if you can basically bypass everybody in the lobby, right? Because you can check in on your mobile and just go straight through your room. That to us is a commodity space, and there's plenty of people that do that well. We're on the opposite spectrum, which is we want to make sure that you have a personalized experience, that there's a reason for you to go into our hotels. We say our lobbies are really places to go to versus through.
Right.
And we do that because we think that if you have an environment where the community feels at home, now suddenly that's a place where business travelers feel like they're not traveling and being away from home without, getting a benefit. They're actually integrating themselves with what's happening in the community. So we activate, we program. That is what we think is going to be sort of at the intersection between the residential aspect and the office aspect, and then hospitality basically connects these two components together.
So what we're talking about here is like two things. One is they still may bypass that front desk, but if you use it the right way, you can employ those individuals to be more ambassadors of the brand and create more meaningful experiences. So turning the transactional into an experiential type of a moment. And then beyond that, I think what we're talking about with future hotel development is maybe rethinking how properties infrastructures are in order to help with that blending of work and play.
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, it starts at the back end.
Right.
So we're looking at leveraging technology, including AI technology, working with our various partners to essentially eliminate the burden, the administrative burden of our associates.
Right.
Some of them are very tenured. Some of them are new that have come into the industry that don't really have the
Not that good as they are.
Yeah, exactly, right? New fresh blood is great. And they help us really figuring out how you live that experience, that hospitality experience, by taking the burden away, right? That to us is going to be critical going forward.
Yeah, one of the things that we talk too much about is labor. But let me just ask you a question a little bit differently. Younger people coming into the workforce, I'm talking about Gen Z, the youngest of the young millennials, they are those digital natives, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that they've had the internet and computers their whole lives. How is that changing their personas when they walk in the door the first time than compared to us like Gen X people?
Yeah, well, it's all about how they learn nowadays. Gamification obviously is big, but the notion that you actually have to go through weeks and weeks and weeks and months of training on the PMS and POS, that's all gone.
Yeah.
And now AI, the ability to essentially serve up on a single pane of glass, if you will, which is what where we're headed to, all the information with really relevant information that allows for a personal interaction based on what the information is sharing with you, rather than having to look for it. All of that, while that sounds futuristic, it's here and it's going to have a drastic impact. And if you don't do that for your associates, if you don't simplify and make life easier so they can focus on what the job is really all about, they'll leave.
Right, for sure. All right, last question. How are you managing profitability as prices continue to soar, as we're paying people more of a livable wage, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, there is a keen focus on the middle of the P&L, really looking at identifying savings where, frankly, there's areas of expense that are not really providing any additional value to the business, right? That's one. Two.
Well, I'd say, like, compare it to consumers at home. You've got all of these streaming channels. You're probably not watching them all. You aren't thinking about it, but it's still on your bottom line, right?
Yeah, exactly. The second piece, and it's not a surprise that we're here in the Unifocus booth, but labor management is something that has always been essential. It's even more essential going forward, given all of the changes in regulations, and we're taking a very, very in-depth look into how we can even improve and optimize the most important variable expense that we have in the business.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Great
Daniel
to see
Del
you.
Olmo, Sage Hospitality. I'm Glenn Hausman. We're at NYU. Thanks to Unifocus.com. See you next time.